Hello again and welcome back to the Gospel in 3D. I'm enjoying this time to simply remind ourselves about core truths we find in the Bible, and I hope you're growing as well. In our last video, we looked at how the church is the family of God, and how Jesus in the early church often put a ton of emphasis on the church acting like the family. Often in today's world, the biological family can be seen as a big deal, and it definitely needs to be. The biological family is being attacked by our world, and we should fight for its existence and see it as vastly important. But we also must see it in its proper perspective. And that is our biological family will only last until we pass away or until Jesus returns. But our eternal family will last forever. Thus, we would be wise to learn how to interact and love our eternal family well, because they are our true brothers and sisters. So in today's video, I want to do just that. I want to give you 9 quick tips taken from the way great earthly families act that can help you become a better eternal sibling in the family of God. So let's dive in. The first tip that we see is that a family talks about normal life together. Most families that thrive and have deep relationships often talk about normal everyday activities. They talk about what is going on in their lives, what they did. They interweave their lives together to the point that even if you're not doing the same activity, it feels as if you were a part of it. You know what each other are doing and how we are doing. We simply share life together. This can include spending time together at church or in your missional community or small group, which means that you put an emphasis on both, that you do everything in your power not to miss those, so that you can in fact build deeper relationships. This means throughout the week you are connecting with one another over the phone or messenger, however you connect. The point is that you share simple life together. The second tip is that you eat together. Nothing brings people together like food. We learn a lot about people when we have one another into our homes and share a meal together. Eating can level the playing field and make us all feel like we're equal. Eating also shows one another what we like and what we don't like, and often why. It provides another point of connection with others. And often mealtime is the space in which we simply share how our day was and talk about life. There's something to a meal together that allows deep friendships to form. The third tip is to be there for one another. In a biological family, if a person is hurting or in need, you are typically willing to do whatever is plausible and possible in the moment to help your family out. Sometimes it's a phone call. Oftentimes it's driving to their house and being there with them. Well, the same needs to be true for our church family. For us to experience all that God has for us, we need to be on the lookout for those in our church family who are struggling and hurting, and begin to reach out and care for them in their time of need. The fourth is just like it. We need to reach out in hard times. What do you do when life is hard? My guess is you call a family member and talk about it. Well, sometimes they give us good counsel, and other times we get more riled up than before. But what if we ran to the family of God? People we know that will point us back to God and love us with His Word and pray for us. How much greater would our relationships be, and how much greater would we experience the presence of the Lord in our trials? The fifth tip is that we need to be proactive in our relationships with those in the church, including getting one another's phone numbers. I'm going to go on a limb and say that I know there is a time and place for a church directory, but often in my life, I found church directories to hinder the life of the church. Here's how. When you're given a church directory with everyone's phone number, you no longer actively engage that person to the point of exchanging phone numbers. You become passive in the relationship. Something happens in a conversation when you exchange phone numbers. It feels like the relationship moves from cordial to intentional. Think about it. Does your family have a family directory of phone numbers for your brothers and sisters and parents? My guess is no. You have them in your phone for yourself. That's because you have established a relationship. And how much more so should we do that in the church in order to go to a deeper level? The sixth tip is that we need to find ways to do stuff together. This is kind of like tip 1, where we need to talk about life, but this focuses much more on common experience. When people go places together or do stuff together, they learn habits and traits about others they didn't see before. Time together taught them more about the other person and gave them a better appreciation for them. Families grow and bonds form because there are common experiences in life. Church, we need to start doing things together to form these experiences. The seventh tip is that we need to speak hard truths to one another. One of the reasons families thrive is because they love one another so much they can challenge and speak difficult truths to one another in a way that will help each other to grow and benefit from them. The Bible actually calls us in Colossians 3 to do this very act of speaking the truth and exhorting one another. This is often hard for us to stomach in the moment, but afterwards we're so grateful that the other person cared for us enough that they would share with us hard things and call us to walk in the ways of Christ. The eighth tip is just like it. This is where we need to engage in difficult conversation with one another. This is where we actually talk about the hurt that we have caused another, and we seek forgiveness. This is where families really shine. When one person has been hurt and is able to graciously bring it to the other person's attention and seek restoration, we see a beautiful outworking of the gospel. The best families bring up areas where they have been hurt, work through those things, seek forgiveness where forgiveness is needed, and then move on towards restoration. It is in these moments that our rough edges are sharpened and refined. In church, we need to be a people like that. And the last tip is that we need to pray for one another. We need to regularly pray for one another, share prayer requests with one another, and ask for others what we can pray for them about. This takes incredible amount of intentionality and stepping out of our comfort zones. But without prayer binding us together, we will not experience the depth of family that God calls us to. So there you have it. 9 tips to help the church operate like a family. I want to encourage you to take these tips and begin to implement 1 to 2 of them this week. And then come back to this video and begin to implement others until you are living out each tip in your everyday life. Until next time, God bless.